Again, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Mindset Mentoring for athletes, families, and entrepreneurs. We will be once again talking about mindset and mental health. And this week we'll be again focusing on teenagers and teenage athletes. And I'll be excited to welcome Tommy Davis to this week's episode. So stay tuned for that.
Are you ready to elevate your success, whether you're a student, athlete, parent, or entrepreneur? Success Institutes offers transformational programs designed to unlock your full potential in every area of life. With webinars, masterclasses, and mindset training, we provide cutting-edge techniques to help you master your thinking. It's more than just knowledge. It's a life-changing transformation. Instead of paying thousands for a university course, our programs guide you in building the mental, emotional, and physical habits for true success and confidence. Starting with From Stuck to Unstoppable and Unchain Your Potential. We have something for everyone, including tools for families, like our Mindset Transformation Training and 10-Week Habits program. Plus, parents receive our book Confidence for Teens, a new chapter for family, free with just shipping and handling, to help guide their teens through personal growth. And whenever you enroll your family in any of our Mindset of a Champion training packages, you will get our bonus course on winning college scholarships, potentially saving you tens of thousands of dollars. Worried about time, cost, or even willpower? Our programs are designed to fit seamlessly into your life without overwhelming you. We help you prioritize effectively, leveraging the power of synergy and accountability partners to significantly boost follow-through and motivation, ensuring your team stays engaged. And compared to the cost of traditional education, what we offer is life-changing and far more affordable in the long run. If you're asking, will this really work for me? We believe it will. We even offer a satisfaction guarantee if you complete the program and aren't satisfied. Take the next step. Schedule your discovery call today, and let's unlock your full potential together.
Back to this episode of Mindset Mentoring for athletes, families, and entrepreneurs. Today, we're going to continue this series on mindset and the mental health of teenagers, in particular teen athletes. And I'm thrilled to have Tommy Davis with us, who's a seasoned expert in the realm of sports recruiting and a respected coach with over 35 years experience shaping careers of young athletes. As a former player in the Red Sox organization and an educational leader who has served as both a principal and athletic director, Tommy has not only sent thousands of players on to play at higher levels, but has profoundly impacted their lives through his insights on positive thinking and teamwork. Today, he joins us to share his invaluable wisdom on how mindset is a cornerstone of both personal and professional achievement, and how your mindset impacts your ability to manage all of life's challenges. So, Tommy, welcome to the show. It is fantastic to have you. Thank you for taking the time out joining us.
Fantastic to be here, Chuck. I really appreciate it and looking forward to sharing some of my experiences.
All right, well, let's kind of start talking a little bit about your extensive background here. So, you've had experience on the athletic side, got a chance to play some professional sports, and you 35 years of coaching, athletic director, and running your own recruiting business. So over that time, you've you've seen a lot. You've experienced a lot. You've seen how mindset and mental health and all that stuff will kind of factor in. Can you just kind of give us an overview of that experience from all those different perspectives? I know it's kind of a big question to start with, but we'll kind of narrow it down after this.
Yeah, I think being a coach and having been the athletic director and putting dealing with all the coaches and everything like that. I think right now that there's such a big thing just on mindset because of the stress. I think that there is so much more stress nowadays on athletes, to succeed, to go on to college, and everything, social media, and just the presence, and people, just people in general, just being more involved in everybody else's lives, and all that creates, you know, tons of stress, and preaching. My big thing to kids is, to my players, my clients, and everybody is, trying to have, and I call it the even keel. Okay, the never too high, the never too low. Um, you know what? You have to go through things without the gamut of emotions. They're going to come out, but you know, dealing with adversity, dealing with success, and everything like that. I mean, mindset right now, I think, is so important, and just the being able to have that full even keel going through everything you do in life, athletics, school, you know socially, and everything like that, just sits there and makes you more ready to sit there and go out and get your success than those, flying, low, high, and everywhere else.
Yeah. Uh, you know, you had mentioned in there, you said something about social media and the pressure for today's college, high school student, and um, read a book fairly recently, The Anxiety Generation. But one of the whole things is all about the phones and the social media and how that has changed the game and not necessarily positive, right? And there's a lot of data. The author that I think it's Jonathan Haidt's the author, New York University, maybe. I don't remember which college he's at, but the data it echoes what I think you and I both have observed is that kids are feeling that much more pressure and stress and the impact of all that. And, it's that transition from high school to college or even high school, the expectation if you don't go on to college, trying to find work and all that, that transition is it's a big life transition. And I'm not sure how well we prepare kids for that. Do you want to comment on that at all, on what you see in that process?
Yeah, I mean, I see it and deal with it a lot. I think that you're seeing, really now a lot of more kids going back into the trade stuff, and going out to the workplace. But especially for the athletes and everything like that. I mean, from the coaches, you go on social media, and you know I try to tell my kids, I'm like, whatever you do, stay off Facebook, go on X or Twitter and all that. And I said, your only account, nothing personal should be on there. It should just be all athletic. And just the comments from that alone, people that sit there and we'll see something, and you think you've done pretty good, and then they're like, well, you know what, yeah, you're gonna have to go this much further, and everything. It's always it's being able to sit there and take constructive criticism and everything else. And social media has just opened up so many other avenues to bring everybody in. I mean, I go back, Chuck, to when I was being recruited, and I'm going to tell you what. I mean, we got letters. They came to our school, and we got phone calls. There was no chatting, no texting on social media, no texting on phones, and everything like that. I mean, right now, I think being a presence, and I think social media has allowed allowed for the thing to where you can be a social person, but you're not, you know, social face to face, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a layer removed from that personal connection that is it's it's difficult to really um, the communication is different. It's just in the and there are things that get missed, and there's so much from a psychological end, and then people are there was another data I remember reading about the it's a little bit different for the female athletes than the males, but you also begin seeing what other people are posting. And then you begin to go, oh, that social comparison aspect, right? So it's like, oh, this person's doing that, and this person, I need to do this, and it just amps up the pressure. And well, I think the most recent data that I saw is like 76% of all high school students in the college recruiting process, this isn't just athletes, feel overwhelming anxiety in the process. So that's three out of every four find it highly anxiety driven process, which
I'm
that's kind of an
amazed that
alarming
I'm
number.
amazed. Yeah, I'm amazed that it's 76%. Because I would say if I was saying, I would say probably 85 to 90. I know like one thing that I try to tell with all of my clients and all my players and all that, I'm like, you know something, you can't compare yourself to anybody else. And the other thing is telling the parents that the parents see somebody getting picked up at a school to where they wanted to go and everything, and you try to tell them, you know what? I said, coach, all coaches look for different things and you know different fits and everything like that. And my big message is everybody, nobody has the same recruiting process. Everything is unique, just as every kid is unique. So knowing that, you have to sit there and you know take that uniqueness, find those right fit schools, and then you know it may take a little longer and everything like that, but probably one of the best things that I'm most proud of is that a lot of my clients and a lot of my players are not transfer portal kids. So they get it right, and they stick there.
All right. So I was actually going to ask you kind of about that the transport portal has like changed everything. So and it's I don't know. There's been a lot of talk about how positive or negative it is and the impact and all that. But you just said a lot of what you're trying to do is find that right fit right off. And from your standpoint, and I tend to agree with you, is when you find that, that's ultimately what you want because the transfer aspect adds another whole layer, another transition. And transitions add
Sure.
stress, So um, it's
And it's condensed stress because now you're in a 30-day period where okay, you got to go through the recruiting process, and so many people think that okay, they're going to come out and find me because I was there. That's not the case. I mean, you got to go out, and so when you go in, you got to go out and sell yourself. I mean, I handle many kids now that are transfer portal kids. They're like, coach, you know people that are looking for people like me. Find a new home and everything like it's while I think that the one transfer, you know what, there should always be a second chance. But this to where I mean, you're just going, kids are going everywhere, and you see kids that have been at three and four schools. I mean,
yeah,
there has to be a better way, in my opinion.
yeah. I was just talking with with my son, who one summer baseball, um, one of the guys on his travel team played at a D1 school, transferred to another D1 school, transferred to another D1 school, transferred to a four different schools in 4 years. And we were both kind of like, yeah, I might be able to understand one. I could, but I don't know. Four in 4 years? I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
it's
And
but
it's happening. It's happening more than you think it is.
so talk a little bit about your what you are doing. So kids, they're athletically, they're trying to find the right school, trying to find the right fit. There's all kinds of travel sports and travel teams and trying to get, and the process most certainly can be overwhelming. So a family looks for a somebody like you. So how are you going to help them? What is it that helps maybe take some of that stress off their plate? You want to kind of talk about that?
Well, I mean, probably the biggest thing that I do and all that. I mean, I have contacts all over the nation. I've been doing this a long time. I coach collegiately, and and I've sent so many players, so many different places. I mean, I have kids or young men that are major leaguers. I have guys that are in the NFL and everything like that now. So I mean, they see that. But the biggest thing that I do, Chuck, and what my company does, Justin Berg and Jeremy Grayley, or two other guys that work for me, is we consult you. You have unlimited consultation with us. There's a lot of recruiting services that are out there to where you get on their website and they're like, okay, here you go. You email and schools that you want to go to and are interested in and that are going to be at a showcase that you're at. We do all of that. I mean, what I basically tell, I ask every kid for a wish list of where they'd like to go, and that's great. But then through the evaluation process of skill level, academics, what you want to do, what type of kid you are socially, we're going to put you out nationwide to schools that fit your all of your skill level, your academic level, what you're trying to do, and everything like that. I tell my kids, I'm like, you know what? I want you to relax. I want you to get better, bigger, stronger, better, everything. Great grades, great behavior. I tell mom and dad, sit back and relax because they're recruiting your kid. They will get to you if it's to where visits and everything else are coming out and everything, but they really want to hear from me. To people that coach the kid, work with the kid and everything, and they definitely want to hear the kid. So, I mean, we talk to them about how to talk to college coaches, questions uh, that you want to go, where you are in the process of your recruiting and everything, and we get them contacts. I mean, it's the great thing about it is if you look at most kids are local or regional kids, unless you're really big time Division 1 Power 4 kid, then everyone in the country's gonna be hitting at you sometime. But then these kids like to stay in an area, and the other thing is the parents want them in an area. So I mean, I'm like this. I'm gonna put you out all over the country. So if you're living in California right now, you know what? There are schools in North Carolina that would love to have California kids. Would you go to a school there? Oh, yeah. I mean, okay. Yep. So that's the big thing because right there, now you open up 95% more options for people to sit there and get in touch with you than if you're just like on a local or regional level.
Yeah, yeah, no question about that. The other, you know, from my perspective, because I not just athletes, I work with just students as well, right? But
Sure,
it's it's sometimes parents and kids, if they're trying to do everything themselves, right? They start thinking about all the different pieces and applications and and it becomes overwhelming. And that overwhelm, because they don't necessarily know the process, they don't know, on top of trying to find the right school, then you're thinking about the financial aid and the travel, all of those kinds of things they start thinking about, and it begins to impact every aspect of their life, right? It begins to impact their performance, their health. There's an NCAA study a few years ago that kids who had symptoms of anxiety just prior to their season are 2.1 times more likely to get hurt. So, and it's funny because I've been doing a little bit, very light research right now on this, but like with the MLB draft, first round draft picks, these are guys who are getting the big money, right? The top tier guys, but only like 60 some, I think it was like from 2001 to 2010, 62% of it was either hitters or pitchers. I don't remember my numbers right off. Actually made it to the show. It was like 70% of the other. And then they only lasted about 6 years and their stats were about average. Um, Injuries seem to be higher. And I think a lot of times it's because they're competitive individuals, right? These kids
sure,
are the ones who are performing highly competitive, so they want to prove their worth, prove the hype, prove all this, and they put that much more pressure on themselves, and they don't always perform as well. And it can be an academic issue too, right? They start wanting to do well on tests or all these other things. Um, Having somebody help with that process to help streamline things and point them in the right direction and mentor them a little bit. It just seems like has dividends that people don't really fully understand beyond just finding the school, right? It filters out into other things.
see it now, and you just brought it up, Chuck, and I think that I think you've seen it because I know that you follow my stuff. But I just had a kid, JJ Weatherholt, who was projected to go anywhere from 1 to 10 in the draft and that. And I'm going to tell you what, he played for me in high school up in Pittsburgh. And I just did an interview with him. And I just think so much of this kid and think that he is so amazing. He is everything that I say, the most even keeled kid. The kid's a workaholic. He's a gym rat. He puts his time in. He also puts his time in everything and all. And he knew that, I knew he was special when he was a ninth grade kid. I mean, you could just see the skills and everything like that. So, I mean, he built himself up. He was the number one pick of the Cardinals. He went seventh in the draft, and talking to him, and I mean, it's like you said, you could talk to you know, all 30 of those kids, and all 30 might sound different but have a little bit there. But I'm going to tell you, JJ is the most even killed. I mean, he's like, oh yeah, there was some stress. We had to do this, we had to do that. I mean, no, like there's no excitement. There's no excitement. And I know he's excited because I know the kid and everything like that. But you know what? The other thing is, there was never any bit of pressure from parents and that. And they had an older son, Brandon, that played for me, who was a D2 All American at Gannon, and great player, same type of kid. I've never seen two kids, and I have the Bednar kid that was a College World Series MVP and all that. Now I'm going to tell you what I mean, all great talent, great mindset and all that, but those emotions can go high and low with him. So I think that adds stress onto him, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, no question. And for high school kids who, and again, there's right, we got the D1, and even within D1, you've got pretty pretty broad spread in um, the caliber of the athlete, particularly some of the two big power sports of football and basketball that get all the TV and press and all that. Um, but there's a whole lot of sports. Then you got the D2, D3, and some kids, they just really want to play a college sport. Like they're going to be a D3 athlete. They're not going to go pro. They're not going to get, there's no big scholarship money. But even in that and trying to get into the right school and the anxiety around, oh boy, do I being on my own, being farther away from home, will I get along with a coach? Will all of those sort of things, um, I just don't think they realize, and athletes, this is from my own experience and all, they often tend to be the ones who really try to bury it inside because they're the athlete, they're the big jock. Many of them are coming from that, school where they're the big man on campus and they can't show any sign of weakness or any of those things. And we're finding more and more that they begin to break down some, or they self-medicate, or they uh, start doing more risky behaviors because the stress is just getting to them. When you bring a client on, like we were talking earlier about, you can just by what you do helps maybe take something off their plate. But do you do coaching, mentoring with the families and trying to talk about what to expect in college, whatever level? What's that transition going to be like? What's it going to be like trying to fit in academically, let alone athletically? Do you does that factor into how you go about trying to prepare these guys?
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about as we're going all through the process, especially if you talk, I'm going to say something here, and you were talking about, being away. Say you go far away, where that your parents aren't there and everything. I actually like it more. Uh, for a lot of kids because number one, it makes you do stuff for yourself. You learn how to be self-sufficient, how to sit there and get through problems and everything instead of, having to rely on parents, being around parents and everything. Now, it's not for everybody, and believe me, I understand that. But yeah, as far as what you're saying, talking about, I mean, we talk about, okay, so you're gonna go 5 states over. You're going leaving from a city and going into a rural thing. Okay, I like rural. Okay, well, you have to see it. I always tell my kids, I said, you have to visit uh these schools that really want you, and you have to get there. There's three things that I look at really, really hard. And do you have the skill level, the athletic skill level, the academic skill level, and then you got to look at the whole social aspect of the environment that you're going to be going into. And what we're seeing now is a breakdown in one of these three, from either playing time or something like that, or wow, man, I chose the stuff and they really don't have, and I thought that I'd like this and now they really don't have a major, or else you're there and the environment, you didn't really look into the environment. It's not everything that you thought it would be. So one of those three, okay, are already bad. And I'm going to tell you right now, somehow, some way, that that part is leaking into kids right now that don't have that great mindset, and that's why you're seeing a lot of people transfer and everything else is one of those three reasons.
Yeah, that's I like that. Yeah. Did my own son who he went to a Division III school and came from a competitive high school baseball team. He was a pitcher. Um, and the school he was going to had a good Division III baseball program, but the social side of it, it just wasn't. There wasn't. His high school team was really close, right? And that sort of level of closeness wasn't there in college, and it kind of began to take, some of the passion that he had away a little bit, and then he got hurt, and he decided, you know what, I'm cool with it, but I'm done. I'm it's just that, but it was the social piece that really was missing. And at the Division III level, I said, listen, you don't, yeah, if your heart's not in it anymore, it's time to give it up. And if you're good with that, then more power to you, right? But
Sure.
there are those different, you know, playing time. Oh, I'm going to be the big person, or all those kind of things, and how those dynamics influenced your experience, your overall experience. Um,
The
so,
playing time, Chuck, at the big time level is something that people really don't understand. I mean, with this transfer portal, and I'm going to tell you right now, all these power schools and these D1s, D2s, a lot right now, that they're looking for transfer kids. They're looking to get a 20 to 22-year-old kid instead of a kid in high school that they're going to have to sit there and develop, and or everything like that. I mean, it's just the way it is. And the kid goes to LSU, and he's like, wow, man, okay, they have an all-American sophomore in front of me and everything. So I'd love to tell you that you can beat him out. You better hit 1,000 in the fall and do everything else before you sit there and think that you're going to beat out a kid that was an all-American, all conference, and a proven factor in a coach's system.
I yeah, things have definitely you know so much different. We were just talking this weekend about college football and the way the conferences have realigned, the expanded playoffs, the name recognition, stuff, all of these things that have come in, good or bad. It's not like a value judgment one way or the other, but it has changed the way the the way it's played in terms of finding the school, recruiting, different pressures and stresses. It was actually, I think you had put this on one of your posts or something about there was that kid from a top D1 school quarterback who just chose to sit out. Was going to put his name in the
Sure.
portal because there was conflict related to what might have been promised regarding native, so all of these things now, well, they all add to that mental aspect and the mental health issues and the stress levels and all these things that I don't know. It's adding on.
And that
Yeah,
when you saw that, that created like a domino effect. You started seeing four or five kids right after that doing the same thing. And believe me, I talked to coaches and that and it's the funny thing is this the whole NIL thing. They put they put the cart before the horse and everything, and they they want to they want to sit there and try to make this fair and get kids compensation, but the way that they did it opened it up to where, okay, where what you're now getting isn't name, image, and likeness. You're getting pay for play. And there has to be some things done to sit there and kind of rein it in and everything. Because right now, the way that it's running, Chuck, is, I mean, you go back and you look at the old SMU Mustangs with Dickerson and Eric
yeah,
James, and that penalty got the death. That program got the death penalty for friends of the program coming in and everything like that. What they got the death penalty for is what you've opened up right now with no rules and regulation. And they're trying to get by it. And they even went into the they have the government involved, and they thought they had it at the 2.8 billion to where we're going to pay this out to take care of things that happened before. And I mean, not when you're getting the lawyers and all that, believe me, all it is going to, this whole thing is all about money on every side, and who can get what and everything else like that. There's so much going on through the NCAA. I mean, the mindset of these guys is not right now.
yeah. I've had conversations with some college coaches, athletic directors, and they recognize that this transition in D1, I'm talking about right now, but the D1 ones that I have contact with mostly are the mid power schools, and again, my do a lot of baseball stuff, so some of it's more baseball and softball oriented. Um, but they recognize that kids are coming in. There's a whole lot more stress going on in the process. There's a whole lot more that they're beginning to recognize about kids' behavior and that transition and how they, um, well, for one coach said they're totally unprepared. I've got kids coming in to play D1 softball and they're not ready at all for that level of commitment, the transition, the all of that. And there's nothing, well, there's schools that are putting things in place for the kids, trying to give them, they got sports psychologists, they've got the counselors, but there's no there's no real program to help all of them learn how to deal with the emotional
life in
aspect.
general, life in general at playing at the next level.
Yeah, and travel issues too, like how much they travel, and then trying to, while you're traveling, you get thrown out of routines, and routines are hugely important, and all of that begins to kind of pile on and try to balance the grades. And all right, yeah, we'll give you study hall time, we'll give you this time, you have to be there, but they don't really show them processes to handle all that or help them build the habits routine. I just have done recently 3 interviews with all D1 athletes, softball, two baseball people. They're all out of school now. Um, and really, none of them got any sort of, at any of their programs, mindset training work. There were sports psychologists available. There was a counselor available. There was this available, but there was no structured help for them to learn how to literally train your mind to manage what you're going to be experiencing. And that I find is a shame. Now, I think, probably have far more contacts and coaches in your world. What's your experience? Do is that pretty typical with outside? I think the really big power schools. There's programs available, but there's nothing to really like. There's no requirement. No, it's just if you're really having troubles, go see this person. Is that do you can you speak to that at all, or from your
No,
experience talking
yeah,
with coaches, or
you're 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 hitting the nail right on the head, Chuck. The big schools, they have their counseling departments and everything like that for people to get there. But aside from that, you might have the one person and everything like that. But here's the thing. So many kids are afraid to sit there and go in and sit there and talk and learn. I mean, getting them to go. I mean, you look at how many times that stuff has happened and coaches, the red flags have been there and everything. It's like, man, why don't you get these people some help and everything like that? And you know, it's it's just real tough. And the mindset, if you're a big time, like you're saying, basketball, NCAA basketball, or football player, and stuff like that, your days are 2.5 jobs. Yeah, you're working 2.5 jobs. Now, believe me, I I also fall on the other spectrum to where they're like, these kids get nothing and everything else like that. And I'm like, that's the biggest bunch of bull that I've ever seen. I mean, you go down and let's put it this way, they're all in 50 to $100 million facilities. They get every piece of clothing from all these sponsors and everything for free. They eat better than you and I do, big guy, with the training tables, the meals, all the nutrition and everything. Everything is taken care of them physically, but not mentally. And see, that's key. And you're exactly right. The big schools will have that and everything, and it's there. I'd love to see them come out and be a little more aggressive and assertive at getting out there, having some mandatory, group mindset meetings to set the tone. Hey, it's okay to sit here and talk about this and try to help ourselves instead of being introverted and everything and then having stuff blow up.
yeah, absolutely. It's the littlest things. This is part of what I try to get out and try to tell people when I'm doing things like this, or the videos I make, or speaking engagements or whatever. There are All of us have belief systems and labels that we've accepted that might not be the best thing to hold on to support us, and most of them are unconscious. And I there's a couple athletes I use for examples, and one of them was a Division III pitcher who, after his sophomore year, he himself said he was average, but his coach said he's playing for us, but he could be playing at a D1 school. I mean, he's good. He doesn't realize how good he is. And in the work we're doing, way back when he was a kid, he was from a small rural town. And way back as a kid, and I don't remember how it came out. And there's a lot of interviewing like this, right? As I'm trying to find information about them, but he said something, and I went, "Oh, that's interesting." And essentially, what we discovered was that because he was from a small town, he didn't think he was going to be able to be good enough to compete with people from bigger towns and bigger who had more opportunities. So there was this little belief there. So when he's in
Sure,
college and he's competing against these bigger schools, he would implode, or he would just be average because he would hang a breaking ball, he would bounce one in the dirt, get a what in the wrong moments. Just showing him, identifying that, and then showing him how to get rid of that belief. He didn't lose a he didn't lose a game his junior senior year and got a chance to play professionally for 3 years. And he says himself that would have never happened had he not found that belief. And there's a lot of kids out there from academics, socially, athletically, that they all interrelate, right? They all kind of play into each other. That nobody's showing them or helping them find those, how to let go of those, how to reframe those, how to position themselves. It's it's good. I mean, like visualization, relaxation, breathing. I teach all that. It's all good stuff. It's all powerful stuff. But if you aren't getting down into that core stuff, it's it's not as impactful. And that's what I think is missing from so many places. And I worked for years in public schools. I saw it academically, and how you fix some things academically spills over to the social. You fix some of the things
sure.
socially, it spills over the academics. You fix some things so they find more success athletically, and it spills over to the others. They're all interrelated.
Right. It can go up, Chuck, and it can go down. And uh, you know, it's it's like you said. I mean, I will tell you what, uh, from people that are around me coaching wise right now and everything, believe me, I'm gonna get you physically ready to play. I do so much mental stuff, talking to kids about approaches, about their thought process, how to sit here, you know, how to sit here and go about, this, that, and the other. Uh, the biggest thing in sports, how to deal with adversity. There are you see so many players ruined by it, and I that's why I taught every little piece of adversity. When the body language starts going, okay, come here, let me bring you up. We got to talk about this. You have to you have to get them to understand and believe in their mind. And it's like you said, when they start believing and all that, wow, okay, now we're going to start seeing the uptick and everything else, uh going into the rest of their lives, how they treat people, how they interact with everything's going to start rising once you realize how to get that positive mindset going.
Yeah, and the again, I think I opened this show by talking about what some of the statistics are showing with young people today. Not just young people, but you know, they seem to be, especially coming out of COVID, right? They seem to really be getting the brunt of it. And there's most recent update. So after 2023, we'll find out what if 2024 is any different. But in one of these surveys, um, you had over 10 million teenagers. That's roughly like 46% of them say they have persistent feelings of sadness and hopelessness. Like that, that's dangerously high number. You get almost half of all teenagers who feel hopeless. That's not a good number to be hearing about, you know. Um, so yeah,
No, and as an individual, and then you go out and you get into groups when you're finally allowed to get back into it and all that. Then you get this hopelessness, coming out into 4 and 5 or 5 to 10 people in that group and all that. That's how it builds, and you know. Hopefully, I'm like you. Let's see where 2024 is and all that. I think that we've made a dent in it, and we'll see. But I totally agree with you, Chuck. I mean, it was sad, and different parts of the country. I had clients in California that during COVID, you weren't allowed to leave the house. They weren't practicing, they weren't doing this or anything. Whereas I'm over in Ohio and I'm posting out, you know, I'm at a softball tournament there, and we don't have any mask on. All the kids are all over me. They're texting me, they're messaging me on social media. Coach, where are you at? We're not even allowed outside. I'm like, I understand, and seeing some be able to do that and some not, and everything. There, there, there was just so much in that whole thing that it really was. I mean, for all the stresses, and I'm with you. I think social media, I mean, is such a trendsetter for kids on how they're going to be by what exactly the comments and how people perceive you and everything on it. So you know, and then being able to sit there and handle it. And it's just like, oh, I mean, there were people, but there were a lot of kids that were very down. If you look at the posts going back through COVID, and I did this the one day, and man, they were just so. It's not even that they were negative; they were just so sad. People were, I mean, you could see that sadness and depression played a huge part in that whole thing.
yeah, no question about that. And, sadly, the term that not a positive term, but this younger generation got the snowflakes, right? Where a little bit of pressure, they melt away, a little bit of adversity, they melt away, and um, there's a whole lot behind that, but it's something that we definitely need to change and address, and give them the skills. I I focus a lot on teenagers because one is a perfect time to be developing these skills. They're going to have that major transition coming up into college, but they're also, you know, learning and growing is what they are supposed to be doing. So, what better
Sure.
time to try to start giving them those skills and all? Boy, we could go on and on and on. I think we're probably getting near the end of the time. Is there anything that you would want to, any topic, anything maybe we didn't touch on that we want one last, make sure we get that subject in? Is there anything that you could think of that we should make sure we touch on?
I want to give one great piece of advice, and I tell it to all my players, all my clients. Young people, be coachable, be open to listening, ask questions if you don't understand. If we're talking and we just don't get to it, don't let it slide. Say, hey, you know something, coach, or you know something, mom and dad. I'm not quite hearing what you're saying. I mean, is there a way you can explain it, put it better, and everything like that? I know it's hard because I, you know what, I know families, Chuck, to where they live in the same house and they don't talk. They sit there and text from room to room and parents, and it drives me absolutely bonkers like that. I am, you know what? If we're gonna have a conversation and everything like that, I'll text to them. Hey, I know you have your phone with you. Give me a call or let me call you. This is not to be done through. I want you to hear me and be able to sit there and ask. And you know what? My fingers aren't quite as good as all the young kids and being able to keep up. But be coachable. You know what? I'd love to tell you that you know everything. There's good people out there trying to work with you, trying to establish things with you and all that. Just be open. I mean, I always tell people, they're like, Coach, how did you get like this? And I said, you know what? I took bits and pieces from all the people that I respected and just used them and put them together to shape my molds and beliefs and everything. Um, that's how you make up your philosophy and that. And I believe me, adversity's tough. I've always been one that's been able to handle it. Uh, I've gotten a lot better since the high school days and everything like that. It was tough because didn't lose often and all that. So I had to really learn that it's part of life. You're always going to go through it and everything. It's just that now, you know what, my one best thing: be coachable, young men and young ladies.
Well, thank you for that. That I can still remember being about 13, 12 or 13, and I'd met a high school coach. Uh, it wasn't even part of, we were just traveling as a family, and I don't know how family got in conversation with him, but I remember him looking right at me and just because in the conversation, he found out I was an athlete, I guess, and said exactly that. Hey, you listen to those coaches. You try put into practice what they're trying to teach you. They're always there to try to help you become better in whatever sport or even as a person. And it stuck with me, like age 12 or 13. But it was that thing. Essentially be coachable. Be
Sure,
coachable.
it got you. It made sense to you at a young age. You were young. You were younger than me, but I can always say, Chuck, you know something? I never had an easy coach. I never had a coach that would let stuff slide. And I played four sports in high school and did very well. Everyone that I had, and I came to learn that you know why they were hard on me, because they saw good things athletically and potential in me, and they pushed me. And the thing is, I loved it. I mean, to me, it was great. I mean, when I was getting yelled at, guess what? That means that I got to pick up something I never took.
All of you out there, I hope you got a lot out of this. I think it was a really great conversation. You're hearing in this particular episode, yes, we talked quite a bit about the sports aspect and all that, but there's a lot of lessons that are applicable to anybody, not just those high school students who are seeking sports and that whole process. So, um, as always, if anybody has any interest or concern maybe about where your own family's at and how to help your child be the best they can be, figure out what's going on so that they can make those transitions in their life, build the resiliency, build those positive belief systems, all of those things, reach out to me at Coach Chuck 360. That's Coach Chuck 360. And we can have a conversation. You can schedule a phone call with me, a discovery call. We'll have a conversation. We'll talk about what you see the challenges are, what the needs might be, and we can have a conversation about if there's anything I can help you with directly or even point you in the right direction, because ultimately my mission is to help families and their kids and even entrepreneurs find their full potential, get that help you need to overcome obstacles, build a resiliency, move forward, and find joy in your life. So, once again, you can reach out to me at coachchuck360.com, and I will see you in the next episode.